Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. This is another in the series of I built them so you don't have to, and today we're going to look at Fenax. Fenax is a Spirit Affinity champion who is a Sacred Order attack-based epic champion with a unique skill kit that might actually be overlooked in today's meta. Let's take a look at his abilities here right away. We're looking at his stats. He's got 13,875 HP, pretty average, not the worst out there, not the best. His attack 1454 is on the upper side. It's pretty good for an attack-based champion, which really helps you boost his attack up to 4k. His defense, not awful actually. A lot of epic champions have way worse when they're attack champions. 925 is something you can work with, especially in the early game if you need some survivability. Speed, average at 96. It's not the greatest. Typically you want it over 100, but with a lot of epic-based champions, it's not bad and it's something you can definitely work with. And so overall, his stats are usable and workable. His kit here has feebleness. This is attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of placing a 60% decrease defense debuff and a 30% decrease speed debuff for 2 turns. The debuffs themselves are great. The fact that a single target on a 4-turn cooldown book is not amazing. Typically when going through dungeons, killing waves, and the arena, you need an AoE debuffer. So this, it's kind of a little bit of gravy, but I don't think this is something that you're going to be relying on too often in your fights. The A2, this is where his bread and butter is. It attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. Also places a block cooldown skills debuff instead if it doesn't place a block buffs debuff. Also has a synergy piece where it decreases bomb debuff detonation countdowns by 1 when Talia is on the same team. So this is a really good piece. It has that block buffs and block cooldown skills, which means if you are going up against a team with a lot of buffs, a lot of things, sort of, you know, your Rosh cards, your Cernix, those sort of things, Mausoleum Mage, this is going to give you the ability to block the buffs from occurring, which is going to help your team win the battle. Also, this hits really hard. And if it doesn't land that block buffs, it's going to block cooldown. And in some cases, that's actually the better scenario, to have that 1 turn where the enemy can't use their cooldowns are locked, so they can't actually use their A2 or A3 or A4. But the actual creme de la creme of Fenax is this ability right here. It's an attack. One enemy places an extra hit if the target has any debuffs. So that's 2 very hard hitting hits. On top of it, it has a block revive if the enemy is killed. This in the current meta of the arena is an amazing ability and is why I think that he is going to be a lot more useful than I think people give him credit for in the current meta. What we should do now is let's take a look at my build for him. I do not have him in endgame gear. My great haul for Spirit Affinity, because I haven't had a lot of Spirit Affinity champs until recently, is not endgame level. So keep in mind that if you are a further progressed team or account, that you'll even be able to do better than this. I wasn't willing to, I sacrificed my Biggin. I wasn't willing to sacrifice my Rotos or Ethos for this. So I tried a couple different comps. This is the one I overall liked the most and did the most for me. So let's just take a look at, first of all, he's in Savage gear, which means he's going to ignore 25% defense. He's got 30k HP, 3970 attack, 1500 defense, 194 speed, which is really important. I use a double turn meter boost in the arena with that 100% crit rate, crit damage at 213, and a 231 debuff accuracy. One of the things, depending on how you're using them, is to get that debuff accuracy way higher. I didn't have the gear kind of for it, but the other thing you might want to look at is improving his crit damage considerably. The more you're going to do his crit damage, the more that A2 and A1 are going to hit. But as you are going to see, he still hits really hard. So that's Fenax. Why don't we just test him out? We're going to test him out in several different areas. We're going to test him on the campaign. We're going to test him on dungeons and in the arena when we're back. Okay, as always, first place we're going to test him is in the campaign. He is a Spirit Affinity champion, so 12-3 is 100% viable. This is especially important if you're trying to level him up. A general rule of thumb I like to do with any of my champions is I run them through from about level 50 to level 60 or 52 to 60 on their own solo, so they can get that most maximized 8 XP in this scenario when they are able. I also level them up from level 1 to whatever it ends up being when I run their when I run them through the Minotaur grind. But he doesn't have an aura, not a big deal, who cares? But that is the first and most important thing here. As you saw there, he does use his A2 on auto. That's a critical piece that is that you're going to need to know, because that's what does the most damage for him. So I think it's pretty critically important to know that he is going to use his A2. The other thing you notice that while he's not going to be your fastest, 20 seconds isn't bad. That's not a bad time to use. It would be a little longer if he had champions with him, but if you don't have anything better, he's kind of an okay team. For the dungeon, so we have to, again, you have to make decisions. For the dungeon, the area where he's not going to be useful is Dragon's Lair because he's weak affinity, and that's just too much RNG to have that 30% chance to weak hit. Plus, you don't need any block revive, and overall his skill set is not hugely tuned to this. You can put him in there if need be, but I don't think that's where it's going to work. Same with Spider. He doesn't really have a toolkit for the Spider. He does have a slow a debuff and one AoE, but overall, you're not going to do a whole lot of bonus to the Spider by using him there. But the Ice Golem is 100% where he is going to be useful because of his block revive and his AoE. So we've put him into this group right here. I could put him into a weaker group, but I wanted to put a group, an overall group that can show you how he can slot into a team. I have a debuff nuker. I have a defense or an attack down champion. I have sustainability and attack power. So we kind of have a little bit of everything. And right away there, you see that 3 champions got the block buffs and 2 champions got the block cooldown skills. And he even did a block revive there, but that's not important in the waves. So what we're looking for here is will he kill himself on that initial patch? This is one of the biggest problems you have against this second wave. So boom, and that's where he's first of all useful in this group. Now they all have block buffs on them. If he had the block cooldowns, it would be just as effective on these terror beasts because now they can't cause you to kill yourself. So that's the first area he's been generally useful in this run. The second area is if you get the RNG right, he will use his A1 and actually kill the enemy ads. Oh, except for that was completely ruined. 2 hits, 88k per hit. That's a hard hit. That is an excellent A1. And I think that's something that's underrated about him, is especially in Savage Gear, definitely helps. But the fact of the matter is he just hit for 170 and change with his A1 because there was a debuff on the champion. And there's not a lot of champions that can do that with their A1, frankly. So, boom, again, hit him with the A3, which is unfortunate. We're getting really bad rotation RNG here. There, boom. So, block revive. So, there's a good example. Hit for 116k on that second hit. He hits hard. When you look at Draco hitting for 115k on his A1, and his A1 is legendary, I think that maybe we're sleeping on Fenax, frankly. I mean, this isn't the fastest run because of the champions I chose to use with him. There's a lot more sustainability because he is prone to getting some hits on him. God, I love the AI. The AI starts attacking that guy too early. Whatever. Anyway, point being, 1.98 million damage. Take a look at the difference here. Draco, who is one of the hardest hitting champions for the Ice Golem, versus Fenax. The problem with Fenax is survivability. He does need to have some sustain. Again, that's why I brought Cernic and Arbiter. If I was doing speed runs, I could probably still do it and touch and go, maybe take out the Cernic for a Royal Guard or another nuking champion, and keep Arbiter for survivability, those sort of things. But honestly, 2 minutes in the Ice Golem isn't awful. Fenax was a major part of that. All right, so we're going to use him in the Fire Knight here. Normally, I would use Renegade to reset cooldowns, and I would use Ethos here. But because he's probably not going to hit as hard as Ethos, we're going to give a Reviver just in case my Cold Heart dies. And we're going to see how this goes. Again, not the worst setup. The only part where we might have a little problems is getting the initial takedown of the shield. Once we get past that, I think we'll be okay. Obviously, we have a pretty fast Lysandra. I think she's at 294. Boom. Good target prioritization. I'll say that for sure. Errol is the champion of this group that's going to do the most damage. So they actually didn't get a chance to go, which is good. With Renegade, the other team did get a chance to go. I did do a couple tests on it. So let's see what goes on here. Oh, yes, that's the pain. That is the known pain. Just really bad turn order there. But he does have a debuff now, so he's going to start hitting twice with his A2, which is nice. And Venus is dumb, frankly, just not very smart. Oh, and Coldheart says, you know what? Whatever stupidity you can do, I can do better. But we're in the right order now. That's just bad RNG on wave 2, I think. That's not going to happen all the time. Usually, I think you're going to get through there, and you're going to be a little luckier on the turn order, and you'll get Lyssandra's decrease turn meter. You can also, of course, if you don't have a Lysandra, you can use a lure in here for that turn meter decrease. I'm sure there's enough videos out there that do it. But again, Fenax is generally useful against the waves. I think he did a pretty good job helping clear the waves. He is the nuker of this group. But when it comes to the actual Fire Knight, he's going to do okay, but he's not going to do the same damage. Still, that's 160,000 damage on a 2-hit A1. That's a decent amount. I think it becomes even more useful if you were using him paired up with like a martyr in this comp, because then you're going to use that counter attack as well. So you got debuffs on the champions, you got the counter attack. Again, I think he's a reasonable. That's actually not a bad set of gloves too. Those are keepers. So yeah, I think we've proven that he's useful here. He's not your SS tier. He might be, I would call him an A tier in the Fire Knight. I think you can use him. You can sub him in to get through the waves. There's a bunch of champions you can probably use, but if you have Fenax, not the worst champion. So the final place we want to take Fenax, and probably the most important, is the arena. When you look at his toolkit, the toolkit lends very well to fighting in the arena. And let's just jump into it, find out what's going to go on. I wish I knew what speeds these champions were. I might be in trouble right away. So this is a typical speed comp. It's a double turn meter boost. So I have the boost plus the debuff. And then we're going to put this. And then this is what it comes down to. So everyone's got the decreased defense. It's A2. We want to see A, will he land it? And B, how much damage it does. So boom. Absolutely crushed them. Absolutely. I mean, he killed them, right? The dude's making cake. So, I mean, that's a pretty good hit. It might be argued that I'm punching down in that one. We don't want to use him here because the team that I'm using, he'll get frozen. I think if he nukes that hard and you put him in immunity gear, you could use him in against Tormund's. I think that would be a reasonable expectation. Let's go here. So the advantage here is that if he lands that block buffs on her, then she can't actually save herself. I don't know what that turn order is going to look like, though. So let's give it a try. We'll see how that works against this champion or against this team. Again, using the double boost. And that's where it's critically important to have your speed tune properly. So it's so that I make sure that I get to go my whole team before their arbiter goes. So it did a lock skills cooldown instead, which isn't awful because now she can't use her A2. But we didn't get the block buffs, so it wasn't able to do here. The other good thing here is there's no revive allowed. Even though we didn't kill her, she's not going to be able to revive. So let's do that. And the reason why we didn't kill her, obviously, she resisted Madame Saras's. Yeah, we're going to let her go so that we can get rid of that. Oh, of course, we got a weak hit. See, obviously, her A1 doesn't hit near as hard. And that's fortuitous for us. Now we can get rid of her. And now what we're going to do is A1 here. Boom. Now you've got the block revive. That was an unfettered 20k. That's not bad against most rotos. So there you go. Again, I think an overall successful attack. We'll try one more just for giggles. Okay, here's a pretty good one. As long as I'm faster, this is another a good space to use because you got the Duchess there. So typically teams with Duchess you can't one-shot kill. So his A2's debuffs are going to be critically important for the overall success of this fight. So we were going to throw it down. Boom. Again, we got 3 block buffs here, and we obviously got a resist here. So, which is strange. It must have just been a base resist. Usually Rotos aren't high resist. But now it doesn't matter what she does. She can hide Rotos, but she can't hide anyone else. So we're gonna double boost through. We don't want. I think we can't afford her to go. So boom, great. You hit him, no big deal. Everyone else is still available. So a really good toolkit, in my opinion, to use, because all these buffs and all these abilities are negated. The other thing is she's got buffs. That's 60k hit against a defensive based champion with his A1, which, by the way, if that didn't kill her, he would have gotten a second hit because she had debuffs on her. That is a ridiculously strong A1. I think we're sleeping on this champion. I honestly do. Is he double S tier? No, but I could venture to argue, when you consider my build on this champion, he's an S tier champion in the arena. Whew, easy clap. Easy clap. My final thoughts on Fenax are this. I think he is a sleeper champion that we are not utilizing. I think there's probably a lot of accounts out there that have him on there, and they've been told he's no good. They've been told he's low on tier lists. He's low on people's minds. His toolkit is impressive. His abilities are amazing. He counters force champions. You saw him in the Fire Knight. He can do work. He's not going to be your S tier, but I think he's an A tier Fire Knight because he does have an AoE. He helps kill champions, and he does lots of damage. Ice Golem, I would say he's S tier in the Ice Golem. You build him out, he can block revive, he can block those skills on that second wave to be able to survive against those terror beasts that can absolutely ravage you because of their reflect damage. So overall, an amazing toolkit for those 2 dungeons. He can farm if you don't have anything better. He's not going to be a S tier farmer, but he can farm. He can do damage. If I were to speed him up for a farmer, he could probably do it in 15-20 seconds with food. So that's not awful. It's probably better than your starter champions, but he's not the top tier 6-second farmer. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. And finally, as far as his abilities in the arena, I think they are S tier. I will say that right now. I don't have amazing gear on him. I have Savage gear, that's great, but a lot of people have Savage gear. I only have him at 212% crit damage on 100% crit rate and less than 4k attack, and he's at 196 speed. Speed's not a huge deal because of the comp I was using. It's perfect for him, but I mean, he can do great work. His only weaknesses, of course, are Magic Affinity champions, which there are a few, to be fair. Not very good against Rotos, won't be good against Trunda. Those are champions that you're going to have to work around or have other options for. But very good against force champions, right? He's going to lock down a guy like Rosin, who's going to try to turn meter and debuff you. If Rosin can't use his skills because of this guy's A2, plus he hits really hard. You saw his A1 doing amazing hits against a Duchess. He hit for 60k, and that was only his first hit. He gets 2 hits. I think this is a champion that a lot of people out there that aren't endgame should be building. I recommend using him. I don't think he's a strong recommend because he does have some negatives, and there are champions out there that do better. But for a lot of you who are sitting on this champion and wondering why you can't do better in arena, especially with the current state of the arena right now and all the high level accounts and stuff, having a champion like this in your pocket to do great work is something that I think more people need to be considerate of and give it an opportunity. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions, concerns, needs, wants, please feel free to ask. Also, like and subscribe. At 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away my free-to-play account, which is an amazing account with several key legendary champions like Martyr and Venus on the team. It is a completed endgame account ready to go, doing 2 key nightmare work, doing 4 key ultra nightmare, and Was until recently Gold 4. I haven't played him enough, plus the progression of Arena right now, but is an amazing team that has level 20 everything, has completed the campaign even through Nightmare. So a great account, opportunity for you to win something amazing. If you're looking for a second account or your primary account and you're looking for a leg up to start, please feel free. Again, at 1,000 subscribers, I'll be giving that away to one lucky subscriber. That's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you in the next video, and stay safe, practice social distancing, be kind to one another, and what else can I plug? Twitch. I Twitch once in a while. I do the Twitch thing. I Twitch all the time, so feel free to visit me there.